person, but as you see, he is with us via the magic of the internet and all of those little digitals that flies around, the ones and the zeros. We are honored to have with us the Honorable Rodney Davis, representing the 13th Congressional District of Illinois. That is a 14-county district covering both urban and rural areas in central and southwestern Illinois. He is a longtime resident of Taylorville, graduate of Millikan, served for 16 years as district assistant to Congressman John Shimkus before being elected to the vacancy left with the retirement of former Congressman Tim Johnson. As a member of the 113th Congress, Representative Davis serves on the House Committees on Agriculture and Transportation and Infrastructure. Now, his service on the House Ag Committee includes a seat on the subcommittee that oversees farm programs and risk management. So he will certainly be playing a key role in the future of crop insurance policy, programs, funding, as well as commodity programs. And with that bit of added pressure on him, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Rodney Davis.
Thank you very much. I see I missed lunch. So please keep eating. And I wanted to actually just say thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you today. Thanks for working through the technological issues of getting us there via the web rather than via in person. But I got to tell you, I'm sitting here in my office in Washington, planning to fly home later this afternoon, get back into the district, be in Decatur tomorrow. But it's an honor every single time I walk into this office, every single time that we begin to discuss any issue, major issues, minor issues. I'm honored that you, Central Illinois, sent me out here to represent you and fight for the things that we care about the most. Now, I know you're at the Managing Weather and Risk Management Conference, and the biggest question in your mind is, when are we going to get a farm bill? Well, I'm excited about being on the Ag Committee and being able to actually have a seat at the table to begin the discussions and putting a good farm bill together. We had a meeting with Chairman Lucas, my subcommittee chairman, just earlier this week, and we were told sometime this spring we'll begin the process of putting together a long-term farm bill, something that all of the entire agricultural community in central and southwestern Illinois and America needs. So we start marking that bill up in the spring. I look at early fall, hopefully for a true comprehensive farm bill that needs to be done, and frankly is long overdue. Now, I can't see everybody there, so I don't know who's there or who's not. So if I have some friends in the room already that know me, forgive me for not pointing you out, because I would like to embarrass you greatly if I had the opportunity. But I gotta tell you, my neighbors, my friends, my supporters, those who didn't support, all say one thing about the farm bill in Central Illinois. That is, we've got to strengthen our crop insurance program. We've got to have better risk management tools, and that's my goal. That's why I asked to join the subcommittee that deals with risk management issues. I'm also on the subcommittee that deals with research and biotech lines in our federal budget. You know, we have 9 universities and colleges in this district, including the University of Illinois, my alma mater, Harvard of the Midwest, Millikan University. We also have Illinois State, Illinois Wesleyan, SIUE, and many others. So we have to make sure that we continue to look at the research side, federal level, to ensure that you have the products, the agricultural community has the products they need to continue to feed the world. DC is interesting. And all we hear right now is about polarizing and politics. And the fact of the matter is, it's true. We've got folks out here that don't believe in governing together. That's why we don't have a farm bill. That's why we don't have a long-term transportation reauthorization. But I want to tell everybody in this room, there's hope. There truly is. The rank and file members of Congress, both sides of the aisle, really want to bear down and get some major issues taken care of. The sad part is, because of words like sequestration, terms like fiscal cliff, major issues like the farm bill and the transportation bill and immigration reform are pushed aside because all the air is taken out of the room in dealing with major fiscal policies in this country. I think we're beginning the right process to address those, and at that point in time, our important issues in Central Illinois and America as a whole will begin to be addressed more efficiently in a bipartisan way. So with that, I saw you walk up to the podium again. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Representative Davis has agreed to spend most of his time answering your questions, and so if you have them, why, we would be happy to field those. I will probably be repeating those questions so that he can hear, and so whoever has a question, why, please let me know, and we'll be happy to pass that along to him. While you're thinking of those, let me ask Congressman Davis, tomorrow is the supposed deadline on the sequester. Agriculture certainly has an awful lot invested in that, and cutting as much as $5 to $6 billion in the last 6 months of the federal fiscal year from the USDA seems to be a considerable concern to a lot of agriculture. Is this, are we going to get some resolution in Washington? What do you see happening from your vantage point?
Well, first of all, sequestration is just bad policy. The president came up with this idea, and Republicans and Democrats decided that it was a good idea to pass because no one thought they would get to this point because the sequestration cuts were so unpalatable they figured it would force people to the table and begin to negotiate good common sense solutions. The sad part is they didn't even sit down and try. It frustrates me. As somebody who's only been here for 7 weeks, it's issues like this that allow most Americans in this country to lose faith in their federal government, what we can and cannot do. As I said earlier, I think there's hope, though. I think there's hope that we can begin to work together to craft solutions, and when we do, will solutions like this come up? America is very politically polarized right now, whether or not we're talking about sequestration or any other issue. I do believe we can get back to the point of what we saw 16 years ago, President Bill Clinton, Speaker Newt Gingrich, who they couldn't even agree on where to sit on Air Force One. No one thought they could get together. But then they came up seemingly overnight with a balanced budget agreement in 1997. That's the type of leadership we need out of the White House. That's the type of leadership we need out of the Democrats in the Senate. And that's the type of leadership we need out of my own party in the House. And that's the message I continue to send, and went to the House floor and said that exact message yesterday. Now, to answer your specific question about agriculture cuts and sequestration. Sequestration will happen tomorrow. The world will not end. The cuts will be implemented, and the pain that many will feel in this country will not be immediate, but it will have an impact. The good news is for many of the farmers in our area, when you look at the crop insurance side of it, you will see no change. But you may see reduced payments with the continued direct payments, and this is the main reason why we had the staffers from the Ag Committee come up and speak with us about some of the issues that we're going to be addressing right before we did this conference call. I'm encouraged that people are beginning to be engaged out here, and I'm encouraged that the pressure from most Americans to put our fiscal house in order and also address many of our fiscal problems is going to lead to positive solutions.
All right, we've got some questions. Martin? I'll repeat it to you because he needs to go right ahead.
Basically, how once this kicks in, how closely is Congress likely to move toward the Senator House Farm Bill proposals that were released last year in terms of the $23 to $35 billion? And does Deb Stabenow's recent offer of 27.5 in strictly direct payments, is that going to affect what's already been laid down in 2012?
We've got a two-part question, Congressman. As we look at cuts that are going to have to be made, how close may they become to what the House and Senate, or what the Senate Ag Committee did, what the Senate Committee did last year, and the House Ag Committee in the the 23 to 35 billion dollar cuts, and with that in mind, the proposal of Senator Stabenow, the chair of the Senate Agriculture Committee, and her recent proposal for eliminating the direct payments, which we all thought that were going to be eliminated anyway. How does this all kind of get reconciled with the sequester issue?
Well, I do believe when you talk about the sequestering issue, that it changes the baseline of the entire federal budget. And that's the baseline that we'll be working off of when we begin the debate on the House Farm Bill. I think it's too early to predict what the differences will be in the House versus the Senate, because we will be in a different perspective than we have been in the past for a wide variety of reasons, mainly because the Senate's going to actually have to pass a budget, which they haven't done for 4 years. We're going to see what their framework is, what their budget lines are, so that we'll be able to understand what it is the Farm Bill will cost and how it will fit into the budget coming out of the Senate. That gives us a better opportunity to work through regular order and be able to put forth the Farm Bill out of the House, get to conference committee, work out the differences, and come back and give us a bill that we can actually put into place. What we've seen over the past few years, there are a lot of different proposals. You saw the House version last year. Many of you said, we really like the Senate version. The Senate passed their version, but neither side really thought either one was going to pass. And they never thought it would get to the president. It was all about politics. I do believe we have a shot at actually passing good pieces of legislation out this year, and this year is crucial because going into next year, you run into the political funny season, and you have an opportunity to have this drag out even further, which is why I want to be a voice to make sure that doesn't happen. Now,
next question.
You know, the hurricane on the East Coast cost us taxpayers about $60 billion this year. There wasn't any special funding for drought in central USA, and that's because we had federal crops. So those people that talk about reducing agriculture more, they ought to be reminded that program works well. And frankly, I get pretty incensed when government calls the food stamp program SNAP, because I view it as welfare and I view it as food stamps. And I also don't like to see people abusing that. And I just think right now the difference between, in my view, the difference between the old House and the old Senate bill was the amount of money that would come out of the food program. And so I feel that's just fine. I'd reduce the amount that comes out of the federal food stamp program and do more to control the way we give away money. I don't like paying for somebody else's cell phone. I don't think we need to do that. I don't like to have everything that a person can possibly get taxed. So I just I commend you for what you're doing, and I hope we can be a little better at helping Congress people be willing to put their name on the line and be willing to leave if they get voted out. So be it. I think what they do for the country is more important.
no, thank you. I appreciate that. That helps me. It energizes me to hear that from folks back home, because I have never felt pressure to vote a certain way on any of the issues that I put my voting card into the machine to hit yes or no. That to me is liberating, because I know that whatever vote I take, I've got to come back and explain it to the hardworking taxpayers of Central Illinois. Every single time we're willing to do that. And that's the type of leadership that I think we need to see more of. We don't need people out here that are scared of their own shadows and worried about getting sent back home. I mean, that's part of the process. We were sent here to actually make tough decisions, and we need to be able to do that. Part of those tough decisions mean also standing up for what's right. And when you look at crop insurance, and when you look at a long-term farm bill, the right things to do. Now, you mentioned disaster assistance. I could not agree with you more. I do believe that the federal government plays an integral role in disaster assistance. We will have floods along the Mississippi River again, and we will need off-budget disaster assistance. Okay? But the argument that you made about crop insurance and not needing disaster assistance. It's the same argument I make out here when folks will ask me about crop insurance. Say, how many disaster assistance payments that were not budgeted for have been paid out since we have a strong crop insurance program? And you got to remember, my history in working with a member of Congress, I remember the disaster payments coming. We don't have that issue anymore. It's budgeted. It's part of the baseline when you look at crop insurance. That's why I'm such a fierce advocate for ensuring that it remains viable, it remains strong, and it remains plentiful. And that's something that I need your help on continuing to send that message throughout the rest of the country too.
Anyone else with a question? Yep, just.
I don't know whether you're aware of it or not, but when I first started taking federal crop 30 years ago, we paid it in November, and if we had a disaster, we didn't have to come up with the money, it was taken out of our premium. And our federal crop meeting the day before yesterday, the premium is due the 15th of August now. That is the highest time that we're in debt of the whole year. We've spent every dime we can spend on the crop, and we don't have the money the 15th of August to pay our federal cropping bill, which is a lot of times well over $100,000.
Okay, you know, I'll be honest with you, that's the first time I've heard of that issue. And do you have a pen and paper in front of you? Because I want you to contact Bobby in my office here and give me a little more information to see if we can see why that is happening, see if there's something that we can do to play a role. And I apologize for my ignorance on this subject, but one thing you'll find out about me, the more you get to know me, I'm not going to try and BS you if I don't know the answer, but I'd like to get an answer for you and see if we can do something about it. So if you would, call Bobby Frederick, my legislative director. He's from Champaign, Illinois. He brags about Champaign all the time, wears too many orange ties, but we won't hold that against him. But Bobby's in area code 202-225-2371. Actually, I almost gave you Shimkus' number, so I apologize, but that's mine, all right? 237, that's right. I'm still new, guys. I'm learning.
Anyone else with a question? Going once. Going twice. Oh, look, here's.
Oh, right in the camera view.
Yeah.
It was almost the last bidder at an auction.
That's right. Hang on, Congressman. We're getting the microphone over there just a moment.
I see him.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, good. You're right in my line. You in the back of the guy in the red shirt next to you.
Let me ask you, you also serve on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. What are the prospects for getting a long-term surface transportation highway bill and a second Water Resources Development Act authorization maybe that can get things moving on the locks? We've seen this winter, just the problems that occurred because of the I think I read that rock removals was originally slated to start in the late 80s, and now they've completed that rock removal in the Thebes Grand Tower region, but now it's, we're looking at a lot of other structural problems. Basically, are we going to see WRDA and maybe a long-term highway bill get going?
Yeah, let me address both of those a little separately. First off, transportation bill, the new highway bill. I have some experience in working the past transportation reauthorizations with Mr. Shimkus. Transportation side, I'm a little more knowledgeable on, and I'm a little more comfortable with than the ag side. I'll be honest with you, because that's been my experience. I do believe we're going to see an April or May markup of the transportation reauthorization, a new highway bill. And I think we're going to look at a September time frame for that. I'm going to be pretty busy in those months with both of my committee assignments. Transportation reauthorization is crucial. It's crucial to our nation's infrastructure. It's crucial to putting our trades and labor folks back to work. A true long-term transportation bill can be a boost to our economy. And frankly, I'm one of the few, if not the only Republican candidate running for office in the nation who wasn't an incumbent, who was in a multi-million-dollar targeted race that campaigned for a transportation reauthorization. Because people told me not to, and they said, well, that's too much inside baseball. No, it's not. It's good policy. and Chairman Schuster, who has just been phenomenal to me since I've been out here. He made me meet with him before I got on the committee. And you know, with my experience, I kind of know that transportation is not considered one of the House of Lords committees out here. But he made me sit down and tell him why I wanted to be on that committee. I love that about him. It makes us more accountable as members of Congress when we know that the chairman wants us to care about the long-term bipartisan strategies that we need to work on together. Now, you mentioned WRDA. First off, I know what the acronym means, unlike many people out here. I found that out already. And one of the reasons why I'm on the Water Subcommittee is because of my interest in a new WRDA reauthorization. We have to have the ability to reauthorize many of these projects that are losing authorization, or the authorization needs to be changed. We've got to stop hamstringing our ability to keep the Mississippi River Navigation Channel open. And that's what a bad WRDA bill does. Now, a couple of other points on WRDA. I do believe, and I talked with Subcommittee Chairman Gibbs about WRDA as we were walking to our Ag Committee hearing together yesterday. I talked to Chairman Gibbs on the floor again today about the WRDA bill. That is the top of his mind and the top of his priorities. So I think you'll see that move even before we talk about a long-term transportation bill. With the WRDA reauthorization, right now, the way the rules are in the House, I can't ask for changes in authorizations or changes in authorization levels because some genius out here has decided that's an earmark request. Well, where I come from, if an earmark doesn't have any money, or if a request doesn't have any money attached to it, how can it be an earmark? That's a message that I've been sending loud and clear because we are ceding our authority to the executive branch if we're not allowed to make authorization changes. We are authorizing committees. We have to be able to make those changes because if we don't, we cede that authority. And do you think that the other side, the minority party in Congress, you don't think they're going to the president and saying, please put that in your budget and go and circumventing the legislative process? That's why that has to change. And I may sound like a political insider for saying that, but we are hamstringing our ability to truly address many of the major issues in the Water and Resource Development Act reauthorization process if we don't have the ability to ask for reauthorization levels and authorization levels. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's crazy that the Corps has taken this long to keep the nav channel open, and folks don't understand how crucial that navigation channel is to our economy, our ag economy, our coal economy. The coal mines in my district laid people off over the threat that the Mississippi River was going to close down because we can't burn Illinois coal in Illinois. We can't burn enough of it to keep our mines open. It's got to get down the river, just like your agricultural products, just like other commodities, to get out into that open ocean and be a part of our global trading system. I will tell you on that issue too, I'm a proud sponsor of the RAMP Act. Let's make sure that we stop the federal government from raiding our harbor maintenance trust fund and begin to invest in that infrastructure too.
Any further questions? Congressman, I think we have at least come to an end here. However, I noticed everyone writing down Bobby Frederick's phone number, and they have his name, so tell Bobby that he'll probably have several hundred questions coming in the next few days and weeks.
He heard you, and he's afraid you're going to get him on Skype because he doesn't want you to see him. I mean, he's one of these background guys who's a little shy. But you know what? Let me end, if I've got a minute or so. I just want to thank you because I'm not here in Washington. I wouldn't have this office without all of you, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to serve you without the support that you gave me. I really appreciate this opportunity more than you can imagine. But again, help me get educated on the issues that are important to you. I'm here to listen. I'm not here to stand up and pontificate what I think are my solutions. I want to listen to you and then craft that good bipartisan compromise. I want to leave you with one thought. There's hope. There's hope that the federal government can begin to work together. I stood 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, on the floor of the House during the State of the Union. And as I was trying to leave, I couldn't get out because some guy called the president was trying to walk out the same door. So I got a chance to stand there and talk to him on the center aisle of the most divided organization in America. And you know what we talked about? We talked about me taking him up on his offer to come to the White House to talk about some bipartisan solutions. I haven't gotten that appointment yet, but we're working on it. But we also talked about my district. We talked about Springfield, where he and I had met before. We talked about friends we have, mutual friends we have in my hometown of Taylorville. And the symbolism of that hit me later because we talked about personal issues and all the politics went away. Now, I'm a target. I want the closest Republican victory in the nation. There are people out here that don't want to see me sitting in this desk 2 years from now, and that's okay. But all of that goes away when you get personal and you begin to talk about personalities and we forget about politics. And that, my friends, is how we govern. I'm hopeful from my conversations with him and my conversations with members from both parties that we will continue that process. Because when we do, you'll start to see solutions that matter. We may not get everything we want, but we sure as hell won't lose everything either. And when that happens, good government is good policies, and I will be a proud member of Congress when that day comes. Thank you for your time today. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you very much for your time, and safe voyage back home.
Thank you very much.